So here we are. Week 1 of the 2024 NFL season is officially underway. And just 2 games in, I'm already enjoying it. Yes, regardless of how you feel, it's rigged, scripted, a slip and slide. I mean, things could be better. But, hopefully it'll get better. But I'm enjoying it so far. That feeling of having the NFL back, it's always nice. That being said, what's going to be even nicer is to have my San Francisco 49ers back on the field this coming Monday as they take on the New York Jets to close out week 1. So, yeah, all those practices, all that off-season drama, all that quote-unquote failure to quote-unquote finish the story back in February, well, it all comes down to yet another season of 49ers football. So, here we are, once again, as I said, after the 49ers failed to, quote-unquote, finish the story in February, like they failed to do like Cody Rhodes, like they failed to do like Liv Morgan did. Here they are again, trying to do it again, trying to get to New Orleans this time and, quote-unquote, finish the story. Finally do it. But we'll see. They lost another Super Bowl, and hopefully they won't fall to the curse. You know, the dreaded curse that they fell to back, 4 years ago, with all the injury mania. But I'm not gonna bless that upon them because I don't want that. I don't want to relive that. That was like cursed memories from when I started my podcast. But anyway, let's talk about the New York Jets. Let's talk about their opponent, the New York Jets, going into the Monday night. So for the Jets last year and this past offseason, the Jets, they had high hopes. They had high hopes going into last year. They made a big trade to go and get Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers, but all it took was 4 plays. 4 plays to pretty much end all hope, to even make a playoff run, because when they played, ironically, on a Monday night last year, their hopes and dreams were crushed because Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on that dreaded, cursed MetLife Field against the Buffalo Bills. So, Aaron Rodgers was practically out for the season, and pretty much they had to go through, once again, a rotation of quarterbacks. So, here they are once again, hopefully riding the ship with Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully they can keep him healthy. Or in the offseason, they didn't really do a lot of moves because they didn't have a lot of money to spend, but they got a couple of veteran guys to try to surround Aaron Rodgers with, mainly around the offensive line. They didn't get a lot of help at receiver, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, they're hopefully trying to get at least to the playoffs. That's their benchmark right now with Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, for my San Francisco 49ers, they had themselves a successful first full season with Brock Purdy as a starter. They went 12-5. They went to the Super Bowl for the first time since that 2019 season. And yeah, it seemed poised that they were hopefully going to win it. They were finally going to, quote unquote, like I said, finish the story. But then they have to face that familiar foe in the Kansas City Chiefs. And, well, just one too many things went against their way once again. And they fell to the Chiefs, this time in more humiliating fashion in overtime. So, yeah, they don't finish the story again. They don't pull a Cody Rhodes again. And then they spend all offseason trying to handle this drama, this contract drama with Brandon Ayuk, which just finally gets resolved a week ago. And then they also have to deal with drama with Trent Williams, their left tackle, who holds out all training camp because he wants his money in his contract fully guaranteed, if I remember correctly. And then he comes back very late and gets that contract extension. So, yeah, some very sketchy stuff, if you ask me. But that's typically how it is with my San Francisco 49ers, unfortunately. And, yeah, another season of off-season contract drama clouded around the organization. I don't know why. So when you look at this team, that is being the New York Jets on the other side, looking at some of their strengths, the reason why they haven't lost too many games despite their quarterback issues is because of their defense. that's perhaps the biggest positive of their last 2 years. It has been their all-around defense. They got a really good pass rush, and perhaps their secondary, their back line has been really, really good. They know how to create turnovers. They got a lot of skilled players like Ahmad Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Chuck Clark at safety, Michael Carter at nickel corner, and then an inside linebacker, CJ Mosley. They know how to create turnovers. They know how to stop first downs from happening. They know how to create. They know how to break up passes and know how to lock down opposing top receivers. So they are really good defenders for the New York Jets. But outside of that, though, on the opposite side, like going back to some of the weaknesses I mentioned earlier, at receiver, it's not really, nothing really stands out for me in my opinion, because outside of Garrett Wilson at receiver, the Jets don't really have anyone else, unless you count Aaron Rodgers' buddy Alan Lazard from their time in Green Bay. But Lazard last year, didn't really do much. They did go get Mike Williams, but he's coming off a torn ACL and he's slated to play. But again, how's he gonna do coming off that ACL injury? We'll see. And he's also very injury prone during his time in LA. And then the offensive line. I mean, the Jets did do their due diligence this past offseason to beef up that line after Rodgers tore up his leg last year. So new to the offensive line are tackles Morgan Moses from the Ravens and then Tyron Smith from the Cowboys. Both are good tackles on their previous teams, but they've had their health issues. So it's going to be interesting how they'll do on the offensive line. And then just in general, it's like that line hasn't been able to hold up, which is why Aaron Rodgers got injured in the first place. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Meanwhile, for my 49ers, I mean, they have their own strengths and weaknesses of their own. When you just look at the offensive supporting cast, look at who they have. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk. Like, I mean, you can say on paper, oh, they're very good. But, I mean, when you look at the results on field, it actually shows. It actually shows that they can be pretty damn good. It's just, like they haven't played too much during the preseason, but we'll see how they do come play time on Monday night, especially Brandon Ayuk, who just signed his big fat contract extension. He has been there in training camp. He's just been holding in. So going to my point, they have the firepower to take on any defense. But we'll see how they do come Monday night and going forward. Some of the things that I am concerned about with this team is their defensive line depth, because the pass rush has struggled at times to gain to the quarterback last year due to the lack of depth. And that depth has certainly shrunk this year, with not much depth behind new additions, Leonard Floyd and, of course, Nick Bosa. And edge rusher Uder Gross-Moss is not expected to play in this game as the time of this recording. So it's going to be a big test for that pass rush, trying to get to Aaron Rodgers. And then looking at the offensive line, even with Trent Williams returning from his weird holdout, this offensive line has some serious question marks. I mean, they already settled the interior, but Trent Williams has been like away from the team, and there's been like reports coming out that they're seriously considering putting in backup tackle Jalen Moore, who sucked while Trent was away in those preseason games. And okay, all right, let's see how that pans out, and let's also not forget how bad Cole McKivitz has played, and he's also been a penalty machine as well. So just looking at some of the injuries before we get into what these teams need to do to succeed. The Jets, fortunately for them, they relatively remained healthy going into Monday night's game. The only thing that they're dealing with is some injuries to some backups. For my 49ers, they are kind of beat up. No surprise there, unfortunately. Like D. Winters and edge rusher Uder Gross-Moss are not expected to play in this game. Some players like Mitch Wisnowski is fully back at practice, so he looks like he's ready to go after missing most of the preseason. Juwan Jennings and Christian McCaffrey were in a limited capacity with their respective injuries, so it seems like they're on track to play, but they're monitoring that closely. So yeah, some injuries to note of for Niners fans out there as we get closer to this game. So looking at some of the keys to victory for this game. For the New York Jets, going back to that secondary, that backline defense, they pretty much have to shut down the 49ers' main receivers, Brock Purdy's main weapons, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, because those are his main two go-to guys, especially Brandon Ayuk, as he tries to continue to get acclimated once again with Purdy, who didn't get all that valuable camp time, as well as, of course, forcing Brock Purdy into turnovers, because Brock Purdy can get a little erratic at times. And then for offensively, the offensive line has to protect Aaron Rodgers. You can't go into a situation where you can't get Aaron Rodgers hurt. You can't get Aaron Rodgers too hit because the guy is 40 years old. You don't want Aaron Rodgers to suffer a significant injury again and on a Monday night too. And then for my 49ers, you want to also protect Brock Purdy from constantly getting hit because your offensive line is also a major weakness, especially on the exterior with McKivitz. And if Trent Williams is not going to get a lot of playing time in this one as he tries to get adjusted again, then you have to protect him as well. Training camp and preseason was a major concern with Purdy getting hit so much that he couldn't play all that much because you wanted to protect him. So protecting him in this game, like with that offensive line, is like a must. And then defensively, you want to force Aaron Rodgers to throw to his receivers not named Garrett Wilson, because Garrett Wilson is going to be that number one. You want to try and get Aaron Rodgers to get very uncomfortable with his other guys. That's Alan Lazard and Mike Williams. His guys that are going to be his weaknesses. So that's going to be key to this game. So should be an interesting one for Monday night. It's going to be an early test for my 49ers and certainly for the Jets, especially as Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing his first game in over a year. So should be a fun one on Monday night. I'm excited for it. I don't have an exact prediction for it because I really don't like to roll like that anymore because anything can happen in the NFL nowadays. So hopefully the Niners do pull out the window. That's for sure. But let me know your guys' predictions. Let me know what you guys are expecting for this game between the Niners and the Jets, especially for my Niners fans out there, in the comments below. But anyway, that's going to do it for this preview to the New York Jets taking on the 49ers, as hopefully, again, the Niners pull out the W. So let me know your thoughts on this game coming up for my 49ers, and let's see what they do in the start of the season. Anyway, till the next one, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until the next one, peace out.